Hey guys, Perla here. How do I even start this video? And I think what I'm about to talk about is going to surprise some of you. And in no means, or in no way, I should say, is this meant to make anyone feel bad or anything like that. But there's something that has been sitting with me, um, especially since like the surgeries, right? Because I've had to go back and forth to like a lot of different doctor's appointments, and I just had to after recovery and stuff, I was just interacting with more people in general. And is this thing about when and I wrote down some like notes and stuff, some of the points that I wanted to make, where like when you tell somebody like, oh, I have narcolepsy, or if you have a chronic illness or whatever, their first response is usually, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. And it's like, I get it. People are trying to be compassionate, they're trying to be supportive, but a lot of the times that lands as pity. Um, the tones usually shift where the conversations become heavier, where people start to see you as your diagnosis instead of as a whole person, right? And I think that because we become accustomed to say I'm sorry when we hear of someone's challenges or challenging time or whatever, it sometimes creates this space, not intentionally, where people then hold back. People then do not want to talk. People do not want to say certain things because a lot of the times when we're sharing, when we're talking, is more to give a voice to individuals that are having similar situations, individuals that may struggle with the same or similar, situations, conditions, disabilities, etc., to let them know that they're not alone, and to let them know that they are seen, that they're heard, that they are understood, and that the challenges that come, whether it is with narcolepsy or with any other disability, is not something to pity. It is not something to be ashamed of. And I don't know, that was just kind of sitting in my heart because I feel that I get a lot of private messages from people saying, thank you for sharing, how they wish that they could talk about it, how they want to voice about it, how they want to express about it, but they meet these conversation blockers is what I call them, because like when somebody tells me like, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through that, I'm very blunt, so I'll be like, what are you sorry for? Like, you didn't give me narcolepsy. And sometimes it breaks the ice, and sometimes people are just like, thinking that I'm being rude, and it's not necessarily rude. I would rather somebody say something like, thank you for sharing that, or be curious about it. Oh, that sounds very challenging, or how do you manage, or anything like that, instead of coming right out of the bat feeling sorry for me, being pitiful towards me, or feeling like they need to fix me, right? Or like they need to act any certain way around me. I am a whole person. I have always been a whole person. And again, my according to my doctors, they believe that I was born this way. So I've lived my entire life with narcolepsy, even though my symptoms, when I started to notice them, I misread them, right? I didn't know what they were. They were not understood by the doctors that were treating me as a teenager. And unfortunately, I wasn't diagnosed until I was 29. But the funny thing is that I have always been myself. I have always been me. And narcolepsy just gave the word narcolepsy with cataplexy, gave a title to something that was always happening inside of me, something that I was always dealing with, that I had no idea what it was. That is the only thing that shifted, or the only thing that changed. But with that also came this space where people then started to feel bad for me. And it's like, my love, there's nothing to feel bad about, right? I I was married, I have kids, I went to school, I became a nurse, I worked as a nurse for many years. And yes, it is unfortunate that, not because of the narcolepsy, okay? I want to make that very clear. There are many people with narcolepsy, with cataplexy, that work full time jobs, that are able to be in the medical field, that are able to be in many different fields without any issues because they are able to medicate, okay? Unfortunately for me, medication was not in the works, it's not in the plans. My body tends to react very harshly, both physically and psychologically, to medicines that could help keep me in the workforce, right? And that is something that I had to work through. That is something that I had to grieve through. I went to therapy and all of that to help me come to terms with that, right? And why is it that I'm sharing it this way? Because I feel that if we begin to come from a place of curiosity instead of judgment, or a place of wanting to fix someone, right? Or wanting to fix someone's issues or someone's problems. And we just learn to listen. And we learn to listen to what it is that someone is trying to express. One of the things, and I know that it comes from a good place. I know that it comes from a place of wanting to help. But one of the best ways that you can help somebody with either narcolepsy or with any other disability is asking them, what do you need? What do you need from me? Are you talking to me because you just want to vent? Are you sharing this because you want me to help you try to find solutions, or try to find outlets, or different treatments, or all of this and this and that? And that is something that I feel that a lot of us go into the mode when we hear that somebody has a disability and wanting to fix it for them, right? And again, I have people that contact me through messages and ask questions and this and this and that. And when somebody usually reaches out, I usually ask like, oh, how can I help you? Because I know that some people just want to vent. They want their story heard. They've tried everything. They're not looking for me to fix anything. They're not looking for advice. And then I have people that are newly diagnosed that reach out and are like, hey, what do you do with this? How did you manage this? What did you know? Who were your doctors? What questions did you ask? And this and this and that. But I'm always putting myself, because I have the experience, right, of going through this myself. I always put myself in a position as like, okay, how can I best assist you, right? Do you need help in guidance as to like, what kind of questions to ask your doctors, what medications are out there, or do you just simply need ears, a person to just sit with you so that you can vent, to sit with you so that you can say the things out loud that maybe you can't say to someone else in your life, right? Someone else in your family. And this is why I am encouraging every single one of you out there that do have narcolepsy. If you have a part of your story that you want to share, and you are not comfortable putting it out there, go ahead and send me an email and I will share it anonymously. I would either do a skit or I would just talk about it, depending on how it lands with me to share it. Because again, we are not, and I'm going to say this again with all the love in my heart. Um, October of this year will be 10 years since I was diagnosed. Um, beginning of beginning of this year would have been 10 years when my symptoms went out of control. And I'm gonna make a video about that because I'm curious to see not necessarily what symptoms you guys had, but what symptoms brought you to your diagnosis. Um, so I've done it all, my loves. I've done it all. I've done every medication out there that you can think of that I haven't that I was allowed to try. I've tried. It was 2 years of almost close to 2 years of trying everything and anything, and my body just said no. We tried herbs, we tried natural remedies, I tried sound, I tried everything you can think of. I don't think there's one thing out there that I haven't tried when it comes to narcolepsy and trying to cure it, let's put it this way, or trying to fix it. And to be honest with you, the one thing that has helped me is coming to terms that it is part of who I am, and it dictates a big portion of who I am, right? So my wake and sleep cycles are completely different than anyone, right? Even within people with narcolepsy, and that's perfectly fine. What has helped me live a fuller life is coming to terms with that and living based on the rhythm of my own sleep. That means if it's a day that I am napping every 2 hours for an hour, then it's a day that I am napping every 2 hours for an hour. Is it a day that I need a 3 hour nap 3 times a day, 5 times a day? Then that's what I'm doing. Is it a 12-hour sleeping day? That's what I'm doing. And I genuinely believe that the more that I follow that rhythm, the more that I'm able to stay on track with everything that I want to do. I have fewer, less cataplexy attacks. I have fewer, less like sleep attacks. I have fewer episodes of memory loss when I listen to my rhythm. And what I normally do is like I schedule doctor's appointments, and I really never know how I'm gonna feel. I very grateful, I'm going to be honest with you, that my body seems to get in sync with whatever's on the schedule, because I do look at my schedule every week and I'm like, okay, this is there, that is there, this is there. And I plan my schedule naps around my appointments, around errands, whatever it is that I have to do. And once in a blue, yeah, there are days where I'm not going to make it to anything. I'm not going to make it to that appointment. I'm not going to run any errands or whatever it is. And if it is one of those days, it's an F day and we just get through it and we try again tomorrow. Again, I know that it's not the case for everyone. I'm home, so I have that flexibility, right? I do still drive. Do I drive every day? No. Am I medicated? Yes, that is there's only two medications that I can safely take, and it is Adderall and Xanax. I haven't taken Xanax in over like 2 years, I want to say. And that's usually, I usually only take it as needed, and it's for when and it usually happens when I'm not listening to my body. When I'm trying to push through something, there are waves of like anxiety and depressions. Depression is definitely one of those symptoms within narcolepsy that a lot of people sometimes do not talk about. And the Xanax does help with that when I'm having episodes that would last a couple of days or whatever. And again, I've been dealing with this my entire life. So I've been self managing and self regulating before I was even diagnosed. So when I was diagnosed and I was able to recognize patterns very fast, very quickly, and was able to make adjustments to them a lot quicker than somebody that didn't even notice that something was going on with their body. I don't know if that makes sense. And Adderall I take to drive. That is an agreement between my doctor and I. And again, I've spoken about that. You can have your reservations in regards to that. And I respect that. The state where I live in, where I reside, it is up to my doctor and myself whether I am allowed to drive or not. Again, narcolepsy is something that I've had my entire life. And I am, in my personal opinion and my doctor's opinion, very responsible when it comes to getting behind the wheel. If I wake up, I know immediately whether it's going to be a day that I'm going to be able to drive or not. My drives are limited, so they're timed with breaks in between. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Because again, I've made videos in regards to that, and you can go back and look at them. And yeah, so it was just pretty much that. It's more about like, let's, I guess the whole point of this channel or the community that I'm trying to build is more of a safe space for people to be able to express their day to day, to share their day to day without necessarily feeling like they need to hold back or without feeling like they need to fix themselves or that they need to fix this area of their life. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, that I wanted to share. So I invite every single one of you, to share your stories either, on social media. If you don't want to, go ahead and send me a message, send me an email, and I will share it for you. I am curious though, what kind of responses have you guys gotten when you guys tell people that you have narcolepsy, or any other kind of chronic illness? And what responses would you like to have heard or would you like to hear when you tell somebody that you have narcolepsy or any other chronic illness? I'm always curious, right? Because again, the most common for me is people apologizing for a condition that I have that they had nothing to do with. So I just thought it was for me it's like part of it is funny, but I'm not gonna lie, I wish people would just be more curious than assuming, than the assumptions that come with it. Hope that makes sense. Well, that's all. Thank you guys for letting me vent. See you guys next week. Bye bye.